Hello there! Today we are going to be making 3 different valet trays, all with the same file, that are so easy to use that anybody can do it. I know how incredibly frustrating it can be to watch all these CNC videos and be like, wow, that looks really great, but I have no practical information on how to create that myself. So I went ahead and created a single file that I created these 2 catch-all trays off of, as well as a more simple version of the catch-all tray, all off of the same file. Now that might sound a little bit confusing, so let's go over to the computer and jump right into that. All these vectors are the exact same. You can see just a bunch of different lines, and all these lines afford you the ability to make a bunch of different types of trays with these. And I think that this is actually going to be very helpful for beginners out there to be able to understand how to set up files and make their machine work in new ways. First, we're going to be going through this and just doing a single bit, so you can set up your machine and you can probe your material and you don't have to worry about changing your bits at all and still get a good product out of it. And then we'll be going through and talking about how to use 2 different bits, which is what I'm going to be using today. Alright, so for this first one, we're just going to be calling it the simple tray because this is going to be the most simple way to do this. I'm going to go into my toolpaths and I'm going to be setting up an area clearance toolpath. Like I said, we're just going to be using 1 bit today, so that's all we're going to be using is a 1/4 inch end mill. Now this is going to take a little bit long because it is a 1/4 inch end mill, but if you don't want to switch bits, this is the very simple way to go about this process. So with our finished depth, I really like to have a lot of material at the bottom of the tray just to make sure there's enough, and if people are throwing keys in there, it's not punching through anything. So we're going to be leaving a lot at 1/2 inch, and then we're going to be doing offset cuts. I like that a whole lot. I think it honestly just looks a lot better. So Carveco Maker has all of these things just built into the program, and we're just going to leave that. So the step over is set at 0.1 inches, feed rate at 100 inches per minute, and then we are just going to calculate now. You can see that we have made a toolpath for that, and then next we're just doing 1 more, and this is going to be our profiling toolpath. We're going to be using the exact same bit for that, and it's going to be profiling all the way through down to 1 inch, and we're going to be calculating that now. Now if we are going to simulate these toolpaths, you can see we have made a very, very simple dish. Now this catch-all tray is the most simple version of what you can have. You're going to be doing a good amount of sanding. It's just straight walls going down into the bottom of the tray. And at this point, if you wanted to, you could, of course, add some text in your program and go ahead and add some text there. And that could be a very simple but personalizable tray that you can make. Alright, so on to the next one. Now this is what we're going to be calling our pin tray. And our pin tray is going to be very, very similar to that, just a little bit different. Alright, so we're going to be doing that once again. This is our inside wall, that's what we're going to be selecting, and then I'm holding shift and going to the outside wall right here. And we're going to be clearing out all of this material between those 2 lines. So once again, going into my toolpaths, creating an area clearance with this finished depth is once again going to be 0.5 inches. And once again going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to be calculating that now. Don't like that. Let's go for the offset. Calculating now. And then now we are going to be doing the very same thing but in the center. Going in here to the area clearance and then finished depth of 0.25. So that's raised up a little bit. It's a little bit easier to grab the pin out of that trough. Same exact bit, offset, calculate now, there we got it. And then right here, we're just going to be doing our profiling toolpath. Once again, the exact same bit because we're not trying to change bits at all at this point. And we've got our profile. So you can see here that we're going to be simulating all of our toolpaths, and there we have a tray with a raised tray in the center where you can grab your pin out of the trough. Let's go ahead and delete all the waste material at this point, and you can see we've got our 2 trays, the exact same file, but 2 different designs. And obviously with your depths, you can really make this look very unique. Alright, so let's go on to the third one. Now this one is what we're going to be calling the ripple tray, and this ripple is going to look a little bit different due to the different bits that you use, but we're starting off with just a single bit, and it's going to be incredibly easy. Alright, going to go and delete the simulation, and this is what we're starting off with. So first we are going to be clearing everything from this first line. This is what is going to kind of establish where we're starting off from. So if your material is like 3/4 of an inch or even more than an inch, this is where you're going to be changing a lot of these depths based on what you have. And essentially we're going to be stair-stepping down with every single one of these vectors until we get to this one in the middle, and it will look pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to be jumping in and doing a bunch of area clearances once again, all with 1/4 of an inch, starting at 0. That's what we're going from out here, and then we're just going to be going down, let's call it 0.125. Alright, so just an 1/8 of an inch, offset, calculate now. Perfect. And we're just making those go away. Now we're going to be doing the exact same thing again, but our starting depth is where we finished the last one. So we're going to be starting at 0.125 with a finished depth of 0.25, because that's just 0.125 times 2. We're going to be adding, once again, that same bit, offset, calculate now. You can see what we're doing. We're just going to be doing this multiple times as we make our way down. Start depth of 0.25, and then our finish depth of 0.375. Yeah. Adding our tool, offset, calculate now, make those go away, and then just one more. Alright, 0.375 is where we're starting from, and then the finished depth is going to be 0.5 inches. Add, and then let's go same old bit, calculate now, and then what we're going to be doing is adding a profile, just like we did on the other ones, finished depth of 1 inch, and then using the same bit as always. And there we go. We have made yet another, and once we simulate all these toolpaths, you can see that we have our simple tray right here. You can see that we have our pin tray, and then now our ripple tray. Now, you can see it steps down, it looks nice, and all 3 of these are very unique trays, and all from the same file. This is what I was looking for when I first started off, and I couldn't find anything like it, and it was incredibly frustrating for me because, you know, you get on and you look at these tutorials, and a lot of people know just a ton more than you do, and I get it. I probably skimmed over a few things that you're thinking, well, wait, what did you just do? But this is the most simple way you can do it. Just no bit change. You're probably going to want to keep your step over very, very tight, much tighter than what I did, just to help eliminate as much sanding as possible. This is going to be a very easy way for you to do that. But we're certainly not done yet. We're going to be adding in another bit in a second, and it's really going to change the look of these a lot as well. So I just added in a little bit of color so you can see these a little bit better. Pin tray, simple tray, and then ripple tray. Now, we can change the look of these dramatically if we just do a different bit. This is a bowl bit made by Whiteside, and it has a flat bottom, and it's really, really great for projects just like this to really change how they look. So we're just going to be going back into area clear. We're going to be doing the exact same thing that we were a second ago, but we're just going to be changing the bit. You can see that has given us our toolpath right there. Now we're going to be changing every single one of these area clears over to this other bit. Actually, for this last one, my step over is going to change dramatically because we're really just hogging out material until we get to the very bottom. So this very bottom one, I want it to really take its time. and have the step over very tight, that means that we're going to be doing a lot less sanding at the end of the day. Of course I'm not going to be sanding mine, but I'll show you all that in a second. Alright, so you can see we've created new tool paths for all of these, and then once we simulate these, it is going to be dramatically different. So, tool paths, simulate all tool paths, and then we're going to auto delete all the waste material, and you can see dramatically the difference between these. So I do need to tighten up my step over a little bit on these because, you know, obviously you don't want those. So let me do that really quick. Alright, so just with that little step over change, you can see that I got rid of any of those marks left over that weren't being touched by the bowl bit. So you can see this really changes up the look just by adding in a different bit. You get all this swooping motion, which is why I originally called it the ripple tray, because it looks like a drop of water hit the middle of it, and it gives a nice finish to the catch-all tray all over, and it looks very unique. I haven't seen a lot of stuff like this on Etsy, especially like this. And all three of these, like I said, can be made with the same file. Now, you could get this type of look and do a ripple tray with a pin in the middle. You just run it exactly the way that you did your pin tray from the outside with your vectors, and you do your ripples down every single time while you're still highlighting the pin tray on the very middle. So that is a fourth tray that you could add to this. There's, I think I set it up where you can do like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these. I'm sure there are more combinations for people out there who know how to do this a little bit better than me. But I made these so that literally anybody who's just jumping into a program can have this vector and then make a ton of different trays. Even if you're just sitting around at your house or your office like I am right now and just trying to figure out different combinations, you can mess around with this so much. You can set these depths a little bit lower, you're going to be getting a little bit more bite, so you're left with a nice flat bottom that is not yet raising up. It is completely flat until it goes down to the next one, completely flat. I put a lot of time into creating these vectors, and I really hope that they're useful for y'all. The cool thing is, as well, is if you buy these, you'll not only get this version that is the oval, but I also will include one that is a circle, also will include one that is a square, and also include one that is a rectangle that is very similar to the oval. It just has a little bit more shoulder to it. So I really hope that this is helpful. I'm going to take this file and I'm going to run over to the shop, and let's go ahead and cut these out and see what they look like in real life. Now for my material, like I said, this is 1 inch thick and it is 6.5 inches wide and it's 38 inches long. And with that, I'm going to be using my preferred hold down method, which is double-sided tape, completely covering the bottom and then screwing down the ends. Every once in a while, if you've got your program set up, you can actually sneak in some screws right here as well in the interior of the material. Just make sure that if you're putting screws on the inside and not the outside, that your tool paths are not going to knock into them and completely ruin a bit. So let's get this down on the CNC bed and then we will start cutting. Alright, so we've got our bowl bit all chucked up and ready to go. What that is going to do is going to cut out the simple tray and then the pin tray and then the ripple tray. It is set up to take around 22 minutes, which is not bad at all, and that is because I've optimized the tool path to do 120 inches per minute rather than the 40 inches per minute that Carveco Maker actually suggested. So if you go by Carveco Maker's suggestions, they're always going to be very reserved numbers, and that's something that you're going to have to figure out for your machine and what you think it's capable of. I know that the Onefinity can run this bowl bit specifically at 120 inches per minute, which is why I am doing that, but shouldn't take too long at all, and then we will switch things over and do the profiling pass. Don't you love it when you get like a bit like super dialed in, like, these shavings. So good. So next up, I'm going to be using this Downtown Jenny bit. Now this is a 1/4 inch down shear bit. The reason I'm using it is because I've done a lot of testing and I found that it is the best bit for the job. I actually use this for 90% of the work that I do on the CNC. It cuts through hardwood like butter and leaves an incredible finish. If you'd like, I've got a 10% off coupon down below. I don't make any money from it. The manufacturer of these bits is just a hobbyist in the CNC community and makes incredible custom bits that really do work extremely well. So if you'd like to go to the website, I've got that link down below, 10% off. Just use the code Hamilton for these Downtown Jenny bits. All right, let's cut them out. All right, all in all, we're in for like a little over 30 minutes. The profiling passes took 9 minutes, and that's because I forgot to optimize them. So a little over 30 minutes, and we've got these 3 trays. So I think this is a very easy project for a beginner to do, as well as somebody who's out there looking to add a few more products to their lineup that might already be doing something in this space. As you can see, with the double-sided tape, it is very securely fixed to the bottom, and they pop right out. That Downtown Jenny bit does a fantastic job of making the sides look all smooth. I sandblast my projects like this. It gives it a nice weathered look, but it also cuts the time down for finishing process exponentially. So I'm going to go sandblast these, as well as a few of the topo trays that I sell. Got a few orders for those as well, so I'll go ahead and sandblast those, and then we'll get into the finishing process. All right, so I'm going to Alright, so I'm going to be spraying these with a catalyzed conversion varnish. It is a Mohawk product, and the reason that I'm spraying these trays with this today is because this is what I use on my topo trays, so I already need to spray those and blah blah blah. It's very impact resistant for like keys and things being thrown into a tray. There's just a lot of flexibility to the finish itself once it's done. It's not like a lacquer where it's going to like chip and stuff. There's just a lot of give to it. There's a word for that. Can't think of it right now. I remember the word. It's elasticity for finishes, so it's very elastic. All right, let's spray. So there you have it. We were able to make 3 different valet trays, all from the same file, and each of them are very unique. There's a lot of different ways that you can set it up. I personally, after making these and physically seeing them, wish that I would have done one of them that is a combination of the ripple tray and the pin tray together. If any of y'all end up getting these vectors and you end up making that combination, tag me on Instagram. I would love to see it. So the pin tray itself, I made it a little bit long so it would accept all different types of pins and lengths of pins, and I think that it worked out really well. When I was setting up the depths for this, I did end up coming back and making this just 0.125 inches, and I think that that's very good. It actually holds the pin quite well, but it's a depth that's very easy to grab the pin out of the tray. I am very glad that I was able to finally make this video. I've been working on these files for a while just to make sure that they were good and useful for people. These oval or pill-shaped catch-all trays are 5.5 by 11, and so are the rectangular versions as well. The square and the circle, I have those set up for 6 inches, I believe, but I think that's still a pretty good size for those as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I do not have any kind of Patreon or anything like that, so if you enjoy my videos and you want to support me further, buying those digital files is a very easy way to do so, and I really appreciate it. Thank y'all very much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.